How we doing, guys? This is Christopher, that's Jake, and this is the Broken Hero Club podcast. A little bit about us is we're a couple individuals that share a like-mindedness and have the same goal. We want to help others be able to overcome adversity. I'm going to let Jake say a few things about the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. So here at the Broken Heroes Club podcast, the main thing we want to get across is this. Everybody wants to be a hero or the hero in their life. But sometimes life throws curveballs, puts blocks in our road that we don't expect. Through these stories that we're going to discuss about addiction, struggle, loss, and most importantly, overcoming it all, is meant to help everyone who's watching, who sees this around the world, wherever you are, hopefully find your purpose again, to become the hero in your life again.
Thanks, Jake. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's amazing.
God, I love you.
I love you. Hey, and that's what this podcast is built on too. It's about love for one another. It's about love for you all.
Stop laughing. This is why this is going to be awesome. That's the energy we have. Okay, it's all love. It's hilarious. I don't even know why I'm laughing, but he is. Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous. That's the thing, is I don't get nervous very often, but around this guy, he brings out the silliest side of me, and it's a brotherly love that I can't describe.
Yeah. And you need to find people like that. Okay.
That's right. That's actually such a good point, because like the energy that the people around you provide to you, if they make you laugh, joyful, happy, and sometimes even mad, in the sense of like at yourself, because you know that you could do better. Those are the type of people you need to have around you. Those are the type of people that are going to make you want to do better in life.
The people that want to see you succeed and grow.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Because I can't tell you how many times, especially like in the past, or like when I used to, go out all the time, all the people I'd like run into, or like friends I had, who as soon as they see you like succeeding or wanting to change, they get mad, start hating on you, and don't actually want you to succeed. It's kind of weird how that works.
Or they hit you with the, you've changed. You're not the same Jake I know. You're not the same Chris I used to know. But you know what? People forget that's the point of life, is change and growth and overcoming things that set us back and put us in positions to where we can't succeed. The only way we get above those things is through change. Why is this candle not lit?
I don't even know what kind of candle. What scent is that?
Normal.
Normal? It has no scent. Holy shit. Anyways, what's your name?
So this candle's not lit, right? But with the right tools,
A lighter.
a lighter, or a match, or anything that produces flame, sticks and stone. It doesn't matter how you do it. Whatever the tool is what's going to be able to light this candle, right? So if you think about the type of tools that you can use to light it, you wouldn't go out and say, hey, if somebody asks you to light this candle, you're not going to go outside and grab a stick and a stone and rub it together until it produces a spark, and then it hits the wick and lights the candle, right? That's going to be the most unconventional method. It'll get done, but it's not going to be the right way. Well, I mean, there is no right way. The candle's lit, right? It's just going to take longer.
It's extra work.
Extra work, exactly. So that's what kind of this podcast is about, right? Is helping people skip the stick and stones part and actually just go get a lighter, and light. Because we're going to teach people tools, all the tools that they can use to overcome adversity that they may be going through, whether that's finances, whether that's things that they've gone through in their past, being incarcerated, addiction, depression, anxiety, loss of a loved one, grief, whatever it is that person is going through, there's tools that they can use to actually help them overcome it in a lot faster and more efficient manner. However, I went through all those stuff, when I went through all those things, what I did was I went outside and I picked probably the smoothest stone and the dullest stick, and I rubbed and rubbed and rubbed until it produces a spark in me.
That's absolutely beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's important to, when you realize that it's all about who you surround yourself with, those are probably the most incredible tool that you can have, because if you surround yourself with people, like we said, that ignite that want to, that spark, total determination to want to do better, then those are the type of people that you want to have stick around, because the height of your success is endless if you have the right people pushing you. And you can tell, like you were saying, the people that want you to do better and the people that don't want you to do better. You want to know how you tell that? Tell somebody that your goals, your aspirations. You can tell by their responses.
The responses, the reaction.
Their reactions, their body language.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah. And also, one way you can tell if you have a true friend or not, start doing better than that friend. If that friend isn't cheering you on and congratulating you, that's not somebody you want in your life.
And that's huge.
Because they're going to hold you down at their level. They cheer you on when you're below them. When you're below them and you feel like you're down and in a worse spot than they are, they'll cheer you on until you get to the same level as them. And until you start climbing past them, that's when they'll reach up and try to pull you back down.
And folks, you need to stay away from those types of people. Okay. And it's a lot harder said than done, because these people can be family as well. Because I can't tell you how many times, to add with what you just said, like I've had family members do this. I'm sure you can probably name a few as well. Like, it can be anyone. I mean, this is an all-encompassing circle. And even more, what you said, it's almost like that's part of the foundation as well. Because no matter how much we find the spark in ourselves or do self-help or try to learn on our own and try to succeed on our own, yes, that's great. But depending on what your goals and aspirations are, you're gonna have to eventually go out there and find like-minded people. And that has to be a part of the foundation if you want to succeed, like you said, endlessly. Because it's endless. It's what you put into it.
Exactly.
But that is part of the foundation. Your circle and who you surround yourself with is part of the foundation.
Exactly. It's what you build that foundation on. I would say that's like the surface, of what you build up on. Because, like, for instance, when I was going through, after I got my DUI, and I was alone, all the friends that I thought I had in my corner, when I had nothing, they weren't there. I didn't have anything to provide them. I didn't have anything to give them. I had a select few friends, and they know who they are, of who stuck by my side and helped me stand myself back up on my feet. But for the most part, all I had was words from other people. Nothing to help, which is okay, because I had to do it by myself. I had to learn that lesson. I had to stand up on my own 2 feet. But I didn't do it alone either. I thought I had to do it alone. And that's the biggest difference between when I was a dry drunk and when me being sober now. Is when I was a dry drunk, I was doing it alone. I didn't lean on anybody. Today, I lean on people that God put in my life and God Himself. Because God is the only reason why I'm standing on my feet today. God is the only reason why I'm doing this podcast today. If it wasn't for Him putting breath into my lungs, I wouldn't be able to share my stories. Because there's been plenty of times to where I wanted to wake up. There's been plenty of times where I haven't wanted to wake up. To where I was tired of looking at that man in the mirror and just being ashamed of who I was. It takes a lot in a person to keep going the next day after you made mistake after mistake after mistake, hit a brick wall. Every time you feel like you're getting back up on your feet, he's slammed back down even further. And he has to continue to make that climb. But when I started to put my trust in God, my faith in God, and have him walk me through those paths that I couldn't see, that's when I started to stop struggling and start walking in peace. And that is the biggest difference in my story today, is that I walk hand in hand with God through life. And I thank him every day. Every day I wake up, every day I go to sleep, I thank God and I ask him what his will of me is that day. I no longer write my own story. I follow God's story that was wrote for me.
And look at where you're at now.
Look at us.
Cause like, and that's why I think I can relate to you so well. Because we do share similar stories. Different, but same.
Different, but
Different,
same.
but same.
Same, but different.
But you're starting to get it.
Same, but different.
Same, but different.
If you know that movie, put it in the comments.
God, you're so good with it too. Gosh. So yes, you hit a point where you're so broken, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, where you think there's literally nothing that will bring you back. Almost like life becomes impossible, and you lose that motivation to want to even exist on the planet, in this world. But once you find something greater than yourself, and it ain't always easy, but it's doable, and you start leaning on that, for me as well as God, and you start changing your mindset to where I'm no longer living by Jake's will, I'm no longer living by Chris's will, what I want, and I start leaning on my higher power, on God. I mean, it's hard to explain, but like life does become better. But you have to believe it. You really have to believe it to your core. But you also have to put in the work. You have to do it. You can't just sit around waiting. That's not what God wants. God wants us to ask him as well as what can we do? And just for today, for him. At least that's how I take it.
No, that's a beautiful.
And that's why I agree 100%.
That's a beautiful take to have on it too. And I think one of more crucial step that you have to do, probably the first step, and that's just accepting that where you are today in life is 100% because of the choices that you made. All right, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Where you are in life, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, is because you made those choices. That's it. All right? Yeah. Whether you made the right choice or the wrong choice, it doesn't matter. What you have to do is take accountability of your actions. Take responsibility for what you've done, for the people that you've hurt, the people that may have hurt you. Try to find a way that you could have affected their outlook on you to make them push them to that point. It's taking accountability of the things that you can control. You can't control what anybody else does, thinks, or says about you. The only thing that you can control is your actions and how they play a part in how somebody looks at you or views you. And when you take accountability of your actions, that's that first step to saying like, wow, I really have a problem. I really, really need help. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go get help. I've been through rehabs. I've been through programs. I've done things that I've needed to get myself back on my feet. And which is why it's encouraged me to come out with this podcast with somebody who is like-minded as myself, who has been through the same type of struggles. And we have other members of our podcast that couldn't be here today, but they'll be included in future episodes.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned, that's right. This is just the introduction episode, and we've already went on a tangent about stuff that wasn't an introduction, so.
Yeah. It's called
Freestyle.
Most Importantly.
Freestyle.
We're gonna tell you how we found our way back to the one and only Christ our Savior. Amen.
Amen.
But disclosure, this isn't a podcast where we're not trying to push religious ideas onto anybody. If you don't, everyone is entitled and has their own beliefs. We are just here to disclose what saved us, what helped us. We need to get that across.
That's exactly
Because
right.
we're not here to offend anybody, and some of these things might offend some people, but we're only here to share our stories, our opinions, and how we were helped, how we were saved, how we were brought back to becoming the heroes we want to be in our lives.
Exactly. That's what it's all about, is how we became the hero of our own story. Right? At the end of the day, we're the authors. You and I, Jake, we all write our own story. And the chapters are the choices that we make. So, are your choices going to align with the vision of the hero that you have of yourself? Or are they not?
Or you can be the villain.
Bad, naughty, naughty. You don't want to be the villain of your own story. Nobody wants to be looked at as a villain. Even villains don't want to be looked at as villains. If you look at any of villains in stories, there are some that are just like, for example,
I know who you're gonna say.
who?
You're gonna say Akaza? Because that's what I was thinking.
I wasn't going to say Akaza because there's people out there that haven't seen the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch it.
Again, go see it. My lips were sealed.
That's right. Because some people are villains because sometimes that's all they have to choose from, or that's all they know. And that's okay. Life happens. However, everybody, for the most part, we'll say the majority. We'll say the majority. We won't say everybody, because I don't want to say everybody, because there's some pretty sadistic people out there in the world and have lived and people of the past that probably didn't mind being a villain. However, the majority of people that live in society want to be viewed as kind, loving, and people that can be relied on. They don't want to be looked at as somebody that whenever you call up and they tell you that they're going to do something, that you have that second thought in your head, like, yeah, they're not going to do that.
That was me.
That was me too. And that's why I said that. It's because I got so comfortable with just blowing people off or hurting people that it just became second nature to me.
Exactly.
But the second I looked back at it and I started seeing it, and I realized that's not who I want to be remembered as. At the end of the day, I want my son to know that his dad was somebody that was loving, that cared for others, that showed up when people needed help, that was reliable, and that's the whole reason why this change of heart throughout what I've experienced the past 10 years, 15 years has been critical. It's crazy how the experiences that I've went through all pointed to the same problem. Every experience that I've had has pointed back to the same problem. And that problem was my addiction and my reliance on alcohol. I would drink until I would black out. And then I would black out and I would have no recollection of what happened or what transpired. And I used it as a form to overcome the amount of grief and loss that I've experienced in my life, which is a lot. I've been through quite a bit for, I'd say, the average human being. And, even after drinking to a point when I was in Germany, to the point where I blacked out and I fell off of a parking garage. I was in a coma for 3 days, strapped up at 19 years old. And you would think that would change somebody's outlook on drinking, but no, not me, because it was never my fault. Because I never took accountability for my actions. You know, it was the people that I went with's fault for leaving me. How are they gonna know that I fell off a parking garage? They're all inside having fun at the club. They probably thought I went home early. You know, they don't know those things. And on top of that, not only did I fall off a parking garage back in 2016, there's been countless suicidal ideations and a couple suicide attempts thrown in there to kind of like, you'd think that would be the cherry on top of how alcohol made me feel. Like, there'd be points where I was drinking that I would be like, I gotta stop. And I would stop for like 4 months, 6 months at a time.
Need some time.
Yeah, to prove myself, like, hey, I'm not an alcoholic. And then I would go right back out there and start drinking again. And then
Like a cycle.
the cycle just kept repeating itself. Because every time I would go out there, I would drink worse than I did previously. Until my dad passed away in 2022 is when I really hit the bottle hard for about 8 months until I had an incident that happened. And I won't go into detail about that incident because I have a lot of respect for the person and his family, but an incident happened and I ended up going to rehab for 6 weeks, you know, an outpatient care rehab where I learned a lot about myself. And I thought, because I have knowledge of self, I can quit this addiction.
You got it all handled.
I got it all handled. So I went out of rehab. I was sober. I didn't drink for 12 months. I was a dry drunk, is what I learned that terminology.
And you achieved a year.
I achieved a year. So therefore, it's proof that, what? I'm not an alcoholic. Until I lost my grandpa that fall. And I hit the bottle even harder than I did after my dad. Because at this point, I had lost both my grandpas and my dad. And they were 3 of the 4 father figures that I had in my life. People that I looked up to. My grandpa, my mom's dad, he raised me from when I was 2 until now. Like, he taught me everything about life. How to cut wood, how to throw a baseball, how to throw a football. Watch football with him every Sunday. Watch WWE Monday Night Raw with him every Monday. Like, a lot of time to spend with him.
It's just like a second father.
He was like a second father to me, exactly. And so when I lost him, it was like losing a piece of myself, you know. And it was like losing that final piece of myself because he was the only father figure that I had left after my dad had passed. And my grandpa, my dad's dad, passed 6 months before him. And so I went on such a bender, and I thought I was going to be able to control it too. Like, it started off with just beer. Like a couple at a time, and then it just escalated to a whole bottle, like a night. And one night happened, transpired due to legal constrictions. I can't share too much about it, but I was arrested for an alleged battery that I did not commit. However, I take responsibility in my actions because I would not be in that situation had I not been drinking. You know, and you think about it, it's like all those instances so far. The first arrest, not being able to fully grieve my dad's loss, not being able to fully grieve my grandpa's losses, and then not being able to from falling off a parking garage, you know, and then finally to my last arrest, which kind of saved my life, which was my DUI last August. Not last August, but in August of 2024. that DUI saved my life because it opened up a road to a recovery that I had no idea I needed. You know, because I was out there still, even after I got arrested the first time in 2023, in October of 23, I was still like, I don't have a problem, like, leave me alone, like, I just want to drink, because I was still hurt emotionally from that loss, and that was the only thing that was keeping my thoughts sane, or like numbing those thoughts. And that whole summer of 2024, a lot of stuff happened, and a lot of changes were happening in my life, and it was all blurred because of the alcohol. My dependency on the alcohol to make sure I had a good day, or like if I had a bad day at work, I would come home and I would drink until I couldn't stand, so I would lay down and wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I was still disciplined. I was still going to the gym. I was still doing everything. I would drink until about 11 at night, pass out, and then wake up at 3 in the morning and go to the gym the next day. You know, it was a strange thing, but it was becoming part of my daily habit, my daily routines. And that's when I knew, I was like, okay, maybe I really do have a problem. And it wasn't until a random Wednesday night that, you know, I'm coming home from work and I look over, I see my favorite bar. I'm not going to give any free shout outs to bars, but so but anyway, I saw my favorite bar and I was like, hey, I gotta go. You know, I had a shitty day at work. I need to go blow off steam, whatever the case was.
And at this point, you're already, like you said, you've established that routine.
Yep.
You're already in that mentality.
Already in that mentality, and so I went to the bar and I started small, and I tried to be smart about it, because usually when I go out to drink, like I was smart about it. You know, I'm not gonna get obliterated out there, but I'll get obliterated at home, but not out there. And so I went, I had a dinner, and then I had a drink with dinner, and then I stayed at the bar, had a few more drinks, and then I met up with some friends, and I had one more drink after that. So I had to go about 5 drinks throughout 6 hours. You know, which I figured I was pacing myself pretty well, but it is what it is. I think God had that happen for a reason. Okay, this had to happen in order for me to realize how much I needed the help. And so whenever I did get pulled over, because I left the bar, I went back to my house, I grabbed a change of clothes, I was following my friend to their house, and I got pulled over. I asked him, I said, why'd you pull me over? He said, your tags are expired. And then he asked if I drank, because one, I'm wearing the bar shirt with the bar logo on it. And I have a water cup from the bar sitting in my console.
Double oof.
Yeah, and so the first thing he asked was like, how much have you had to drink? And me being an honest person, I told him 5, being an honest guy. And he's like, oh, okay, you smell like alcohol. And I was like, oh, I know where this is about to go. And then he wanted to see the water cup in my car. And thank goodness it was water.
It was in fact water.
It was in fact water. I never drank while I drove. But, yeah, so pulls me out of the car. And I go to jail that day. But you know what the difference was? What the crazy thing was? Anybody else would probably feel panic and fear and like
oh crap.
Like an oh crap moment. And so this was a big deal. But the second I was getting arrested and then I was in the cop car, I felt peace. I felt serenity. I think it was the hand of God comforting me, because I heard the voices in my head that said, you get to get help now. This is it. And I know that this is it portion of it was him saying, like, this is the last time that I'm going to save you.
Everything's going to change.
Everything's going to change. Either this is it, as in this is the last time you drink, or this is the last time you're going to be breathing if I have to come and save you again. You know, kind of like that disciplined father that comes in like, this is your last chance.
Like, hey.
Yeah, Like, wake up.
No more.
Yeah, no more. And that was the kind of spiritual awakening that I needed, to know that whatever program I ended up doing, whatever thing I had to do, I was gonna do it wholeheartedly and be like, listen, like, I need help. And so I'm very thankful that I've experienced those experiences. And there's more that I haven't shared about trauma and stuff, but we could talk about it later episodes. But I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to go through those experiences, those life experiences, because they're making me into who I am today, and they're helping me understand that accountability of my actions and realizing that there's a lot more power in the choices I make every day than I thought there was. You know, so take what you will from that, but I kind of rambled on for a little longer than I expected.
It's all powerful stuff, Chris. And the world needs to hear it.
Did you hear that, world?
Did you hear that, world?
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Broken Hero Club podcast. I really enjoyed sharing with y'all, and I really look forward to seeing the comments, and some positive, some negative, I'm sure. However, each comment that is commented, I will learn from, and will grow and continue to get better. There's a couple things I want to highlight from this podcast is that these are our stories and how we overcame them. They are not blueprints on how you have to overcome them. But what we do hope is that you're able to take some of the things that we said and are able to apply it in your own life. One thing that I do recommend is that you start taking a look at yourself and take accountability of where you are now. Jake, anything you'd like to add before we close up?
And remember, we may fall, we may fail, but we will always rise again. We're the Broken Heroes Club. We can't wait to talk to you again.
All right. Deuces.
Bye!